most, driving is just a mundane task between point A and point B. Nothing more. It's the frustration of traffic at 8 a.m., the feeling of sickness on a long ride. The car? Just a tool. It's supposed to be practical, reliable, and fast. But the speed is really the reason cars exist, born out of a necessity to make that A to B trip just a little bit faster. Some have a deeper connection with cars, found somewhere in the bond of man and machine, a desire to be part of something bigger than yourself. It's the extension of mind and body to something more exciting than just another appliance. And these people never cared about practicality or reliability. To them, the only thing that matters is speed. We're born with a competitive nature, part of a biological necessity that has not yet worn off with time. People have raced for thousands of years, and that competition has transcended history and found its way to the industrial age. Railroads raced to build across the country, replacing the horses whose strength is still used as a benchmark for power today. And as personal vehicles became popular, the railroads died off. What once was the quickest way across the country became snail's pace in comparison. The interstate highway system expanded and cars populated every driveway. And the competition between types of transport quickly transitioned into the race to have the fastest car. Bragging rights. Manufacturers like Porsche, Ferrari, and BMW emerged in auto racing, each trying to one-up the other. Building engines became an arms race. Who could build the fastest dinosaur-powered magazine? So while the passion for cars has died for most, there are still people that are fascinated by racing. The sights, the sounds, the smell of burning rubber and spent race fuel lingering in the air, this is what attracts us to the sport of auto racing. We are empowered by drivers that climb in impossibly fast cars and put everything on the line for the sake of competition. Drivers who know that one slip-up can lead to disaster. And for the longest time, wishing to be a race car driver was just a childhood dream. All we could ever be was a spectator. Opportunities? Limited and expensive. Reserved only for the who's who of the racing world. Until now.
Makes a mistake again. He missed a shift. He's going to spin to the inside turn. He's going to take the lead.
Eli Hinton just got used up there in the hairpin.
He's going to pick up a win after a long winless streak and visit victory lane. And the whole field just needs to get himself slowed down, hop these curves, up and over. There's that cannon running a tad wide. Great restart here for the 2 car, but also for the 48. He crosses him over. Down into turn 1. There goes the tail. Here comes the 20 alongside. The 13 car gets turned. He's going to spin in turn 2.
The SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge returns for its 8th round of the 2019 season. We're closing down on the final couple rounds before we head to our championship. We're going to crown the champion for the season, and they'll get a chance to kickstart their racing career at Circuit of the Americas driving a SPEC MX-5 Challenge race car. Hello, my name is Kyle Heyer. Alongside Finney and Laguna for the 8th round of the season, we head to Road America, and this racetrack is a lot of fun. It's over 4 miles long. It's got insanely long straightaways. It's got some fast corners. We're going to be bump drafting all night. But Finney, and the intensity continues to ramp up as we work into the latter half of the season, and the points, while DJ Alessandrini continues to lead them, he's actually not. Oh, he is here right now, but he's only running 4th. So when we talk about the end of the season, Finney, and DJ is sitting in a great spot, but that doesn't guarantee him the chance to test a real race car come this fall.
Yeah, and when we get down to it for the championship race, it's going to get a little interesting as far as points. These guys are using really, I wouldn't say strange, but a different system compared to what you would normally think, especially even compared to the NASCAR system, which has a playoff system. So the way it's going to work more or less is that throughout, at the end of the regular season, which is pretty much all the races but the last one, everyone will be pretty much awarded points based on their position in the standings. So all the actual points you run as a driver pretty much to now don't really mean much. It's more important about where they actually are in the standings. It'll be 40 points for first place, 38 points for second, 36 for third, and so on and so forth through position 20th. After that, you pretty much get naught. But once we get into the final race, you will get points awarded as normal for the 2 races in the championship round. And you pretty much do just simple math, add the points that you got for finishing in the regular season plus the points in race 1 and 2, and that will determine your championship winner. And it's kind of interesting because it's kind of like a playoff system that we see in NASCAR nowadays, with a very heavy emphasis on that last round.
Absolutely. So a little bit confusing, but as we head into the rest of the season, Finney, basically the idea is you want to be as high atop the point standings as you can possibly be. I think that's clear. With qualifying about a minute away from being complete, take a look at the left-hand side of your screen. There is your qualifying order right now, and it's Chris Henn at the top of the board. Luke Pfeiffer in the 06. Haven't seen a whole lot of him out of him this season, but he is in the top 10, or actually near the top 10 in the standings. So that 06 car looking really good tonight. Drafting going to be extremely important, Finney, and this is a long racetrack, over 4 miles long. And what does that mean? It means you're going to stay tucked in behind the driver in front of you until the last possible moment. Then you're going to pop out of line, try to steal away a victory at the last moment. And we have 2 races to run tonight. Take a look at our format for this evening. Race 1 just about to occur, a 20-minute sprint race with a 15-incident limit. And then race 2 at 9:35 with a 30-minute sprint race and a 17-incident limit. And you get championship deductions for exceeding those limits. I don't think that'll be very difficult to stay under that limit tonight because there's a lot of curbing and runoff room here at Road America. But I foresee some contact, a lot from the pushing and shoving we're going to see around here. So I think a lot of drivers are going to be pressing for as much as they can, even especially DJ Alessandrini running in 7th right now in that blue number 91. He doesn't need to push the issue tonight, Finney, but I don't think he's going to lay over and let everyone run all over him either.
Oh, no, absolutely not. I think he definitely wants to keep that points lead going, especially because they're not in the clear just yet, and those positions in the standing very key and very important to keep track of as qualifying. The check flags just come out, so drivers are able to finish the lap that they have started, and we'll see if Chris Henn will remain on top of the board. Pfeiffer's only 0.005 of a second behind, and he's currently in the draft at Alessandrini, so we'll see, can that 06 improve by just a little bit?
So it's our 8th round of 10 regular season rounds. Of course, we have 2 races per round, so this is race 15 and 16, and we're coming off of Road Atlanta a few weeks ago, Finney, where Chris Henn did very, very well. And I think he's kind of come into his own in the latter half of the season. We've had the entries drop off a little bit, so we're left with the most competitive of the entire group. And I think Chris Henn has really advanced his performances these last couple rounds, as has Nathan Saxon as well. Saxon's been very consistent this season. One other driver that I've been watching is that driver, the number 13, Jesse Stevens, but only 11th quick in qualifying, so I'm not as impressed with him in qualifying as I would expect. Mitchell Peak in the 21 finally had a decent result last week at Road Atlanta. Of course, there are some drivers towards the rear of the field that have not really had great seasons, but they're still here kicking and trying to get the best so that they can before we head into the final couple rounds. One of those rounds, Watkins Glen, coming up in a few weeks. We were just there last week, and that's why my voice is a little gone. But qualifying complete, and doesn't look like we have too many changes atop the board, but a few drivers like Thomas Bresee still making their way around. Bresee's right now in Canada Corner, a very tight turn at the end of one of the long back straightaways. You head up the hill again towards the front straightaway. This is a very fun racetrack to drive in a group, maybe not super inspiring in this kind of car on your own, But trust me when I say that this race is going to be wild and it'll be a lot of drafting. It'll look like Talladega out there for you.
Yeah, not to mention, too, very long lap for these guys around here. I'm actually trying to check all the lap times from Circuit of the Americas.
So right now the pole time is a 2:36.9. It's a 4-mile course. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it is longer by 2 seconds over Coda.
Wow. So Coda was long, but Road America is longer. I think the average speed here at Road America a bit higher, so that's why it's actually probably closer than one would expect. So qualifying is complete. Drivers' meeting is underway. Here's another look at your format before we get underway this evening. And this season has had some incredible racing. We saw it last week at Road Atlanta, multiple last lap passes. We saw DJ Alessandrini have issues. Robert Hartley had a couple issues. Jonathan White, though, in that 22. Let's talk about him for a second because he has really been picking up his performance alongside Chris Henn. I think that 22 is going to get himself a victory here sooner than later.
Yeah, definitely if he continues this performance up. And I was saying in practice, I was surprised by his pace. You know, he's done fairly decent for the most part, but really has kicked it up a notch, especially in these last few weeks, getting a few finishes inside the top 5. So we'll see if he can continue that. Maybe even eke out a win here.
Taking a look at our track conditions for the night, 77 degrees in the air. It's 98 on the track. That's not as hot as we've seen it in recent weeks. So this should be a relatively grippy circuit right now. Clear skies, wind 10 miles an hour, and depending on the direction that that's coming from, that could be a pretty big head or tailwind that really could affect where you're able to make passes. So if we look down on the racetrack below, we're looking down the long straightaway heading towards turn number 5, and that's a very sharp left-hander. Probably your best passing opportunity, but it's going to be very, very sketchy on lap number 1 as we try to get 20 race cars down under control on the brakes and down a couple gears to make that corner. On the left-hand side of the screen, that's the long carousel. You're going to be setting up for the exit of that corner, and we'll do a more sophisticated track guide between races 1 and 2. But we're just about ready to go racing here, Fitty, and qualifying complete. Chris Henn on the pole alongside Luke Pfeiffer, Nathan Saxon, Jonathan White sharing row 2, Robert Hartley, Thomas Bresee in row number 3. Field's going to get gridded, and it's time to go racing tonight in the SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge. We want to thank our sponsors for coming on board. Again, for always being here, that would be the WeatherTech SimRacing equipment. Of course, SPEC MX-5, Winding Road Magazine, LevelUp Racing School, and Paradigm Shift. We had Paradigm Shift individual at Road Atlanta. It was very nice talking to him, and we got some good insight last round at Road Atlanta. But now, time to apply those things here at Road Atlanta, or Road America rather. Finian, what's your plan for tonight? If you're DJ Alessandrini, you're leading the points, but it's all about racking up victories. So do you hold anything back, or do you just go for it at this point?
Honestly, I would hold back a little bit just to make sure not to give way to Robert Hartley, who's in second place in the points. He's 26 points behind Alessandrini, which is quite a bit. But again, you don't want to entirely rest on your laurels. And if we've seen Alessandrini get caught up in some incidents that almost pretty much took him out of the races that he had them in, but he was able to somehow rebound. So if he can just, as long as stay within a good distance of Hartley, I think he'll do fine. And I think that should be the goal for pretty much till the final round.
Of course, you see the point settings graphic there. That the points are done by the driver that they're closest to. So Hartley's 26 behind Alessandrini, Jesse Stevens 34 behind Hartley, Nathan Saxon 4 behind Jesse Stevens. So I'm watching that 4th through 6th battle in the points as being one especially to watch. Jonathan DeCouger, Bresee, and Busa all in a pretty tight battle of their own. Although Busa not here tonight. He has missed the last couple rounds. I think he's focusing more on the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series, so he probably won't show this evening. But Thomas Bresee close to DeCouger, and again, every point counts, and you see that 7th and 8th very, very close together. So field gridded up. We're just waiting on Michael Borden in the 42 to join. How about Borden, by the way, last time at Road Atlanta? I believe he got a 2nd place in race number 1, so he's also beginning to improve his performance as the season runs on. So you see the trees swaying in the wind in the background as the field gets ready to pace. It's going to be a long pace lap here. About 4 miles. It's going to take a couple minutes, so we'll take this time to do our track guide and track map. We'll be right back. Between the cities of Milwaukee and Green Bay, there's 640 acres of racing facility known as Road America. The course is over 4 miles long and is one of the few circuits in the world to retain its original configuration, which contains 14 turns. The track in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin is host of the NASCAR Xfinity Series, the NTT IndyCar Series, the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, Pirelli World Challenge, ASRA, the AMA Superbike Series, Trans Am, and more. The course is mostly flat, with a few small elevation changes on the front straight and heading into turn number 5. In the Mazda MX-5, Road America is mostly flat out. The braking zones are short with mostly slow corners. The passing zones in turn 1, turn 5, and turn 12, known as Canada Corner, present the best opportunity to overtake. The draft will be immensely important tonight, so staying in line until the end of the race may be a good way to guarantee a great result. Welcome back live to Winding Road and Sim TV. Here comes the field out at turn number 7. About halfway done with the pace lap fitting. It's a long way around here, but it's 15 minutes. It's only going to be about 8 laps though. So if you're a driver up towards the front, you know, do you bother defending, or do you just get in line and wait, or do you block the field and try to keep yourself out front for the majority of this race?
I think definitely these guys got to drive this like a pack race, similar to what you see in NASCAR at Daytona. These guys got to be careful on the straightaways because that's when they're the most vulnerable when you're the leader. So I can definitely see these guys trying to block each other off, trying to keep guys in behind them, because once they get past, they're going to have to wait till the next straightaway. And there's really 3 straightaways that are like this: the front straightaway, the straightaway in the middle after turn 2, and then the curvy back straightaway, which again, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much a straightaway in these things.
Taking a look at the kink, this is turn number 11. You see there's the red and yellow curbing off there on the left. There's a little bit more of concrete out there, and then beyond that, it's just grass and then an Armco barrier. And we've seen, especially in higher speed cars, that's a very, very dangerous place to be out there. But in the draft, even these cars have a little bit of aerodynamic push. And if you're following someone in line and you don't apex quite right, you can find yourself way, way offline. So taking a look at the 41 of Nathan Saxon, he's due for a victory, I think. And all the way towards the rear of the field is Paul Darling, actually middle of the field rather, is Paul Darling in that number 55, due for a victory as well. Again, won the SECA Spec Racer Ford Championship that iRacing put on a few months ago, and looking really solid here this season as well, but just needs to get those victories, get himself higher up in points. Of course, points leader DJ Alessandrini kind of starting midfield here today. We'll see how quickly it takes for him to jump up to the front of the field, but out front, it's the 33 of Chris Hent in control of the field on the initial start. Luke Pfeiffer in the 06 on the outside lane. Here we go. Road America, round number 8 of the 2019 SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge. 18 cars strong as they roll through the front straightaway and up the long climb up the hill onto the front straight, heading down to turn 1. A change of lanes there as they get rolling. We'll have to see if that is a penalty there, Finney. I don't know if there's specifically a rule against that, but the field underway. 20 minutes. Here we go. Green flag flies, racing in Road America.
Yeah, and a great start for the leaders. Chris Hen going to cut in front, trying to cut everyone off. Everyone else trying to single file out, get the best line through turn 1 as they all head down there.
Singling out, I think that's Robert Hartley poked out a line there. DJ Alessandrini sitting inside as well as they all come off turn number 1. I think we're through okay. Jesse Stevens in that purple car mid-pack there, trying to overtake John D. Allen in that bright pink car. Mid-pack, everyone kind of on eggshells here for the first lap. There's Jonathan DeCouger, that's Samuel Scott to the inside of the 21 of Mitchell Peak, but for the top spot, it's Chris Hen, Nathan Saxon. Do you sit in line here? It looks like Saxon will as they head to turn 5.
Yeah, Saxon actually giving a bit of a bump to Chris Hen in the lead, but behind them, Jonathan White, he's already going for it. He's going to the inside of Pfeiffer for 3rd.
Jonathan White to the inside, deep on the brakes down into 5. It looks like he'll get 2nd away, but the momentum on the outside for the 41's going to carry him out there. Then they're going to head to turn number 6. It's a 2nd gear left-hander, maybe 3rd in these cars even. And side by side for 2nd place. And they're letting Chris Hen get away. How dangerous is that here on the opening lap?
Can be pretty dangerous. Want to stay within that drafting range, so Saxon's got to use the next few corners to try to close that gap back up.
Down into turn 8 now, a left-hander that looks a lot like turn number 5. There's Robert Hartley out on DJ Alessandrini. The 2 points leaders battling for 6th right now.
Yeah, And for more or less everyone, as they go through the carousel for the first time, going to be single file. But yeah, Saxon dangerously behind Chris Hen as far as picking the draft off that 33.
Yeah, it's 0.8 of a second right now. He's got help from Jonathan White from behind. A minute ago, they were fighting for position. Now they're helping each other. This is a term that I guess Darrell Waltrip would call co-opetition. Look at Chris Hen just skate away. 0.8 of a second of a lead. Not quite out of the draft yet, but if he nails these next couple corners and these few guys behind him get in trouble with each other, he could take away. There's the 98 of Sam Scott. Oh, Scott blew the motor down into turn 12. That's Canada corner, and Scott's out early.
Yeah, that's real unfortunate. He's lining up for a great finish, or setting up to be one, and just missed a gear or put it in the wrong gear, and the engine goes.
Yeah, if you put it in the wrong gear here, you will blow your motor out. He might have gone to first instead of third. And look at Chris Hen now dodging and weaving down the front straight. 0.7 is the gap, so they are gaining back. There's Thomas Bresee in the 24. He's had the worst luck of anyone in the field, and he's in 5th place right now trying to control his own destiny tonight. But it's going to be tricky to get by Luke Pfeiffer. He's side by side with him heading down to turn 1.
Yeah, guys making slow headway on Chris Hen, as second, third, and fourth seem to be cooperating, all with the common goal of trying to chase that leader back down.
DJ Alessandrini's been very patient so far. You see some sand and gravel flying up at the exit of turn 1, but I think you have a lot of time to be patient here with so many straightaways and such long straightaways. There's really no rush right out of the gate. Everyone's on the same setup here, so I think everyone's just kind of riding in line until maybe a little bit later in the race here.
Yeah, if you notice too, there's a lot of cars up here, all within a very close margin, so everyone still together. Not a whole lot of separation as we saw at Road Atlanta, as Alessandrini looks to the inside of Luke Pfeiffer.
Heading down into turn 5, deep on the brakes for 5th. Wow, contact behind him! And the 06 of Pfeiffer spins off the bumper of, is that the 03 of Hartley? So contact there. And our first incident of the race down in turn number 5, we said it'd be a trouble spot, and indeed it was. Let's go back, take a look at this incident.
Actually, right on board with John D. Allen. And I think that'll show more of the picture.
Let's go back a little bit farther. And here's John D. Allen's view. Oh, yep. Just clips Hartley and sends the 06 around. So Allen was a bit late on the brakes there, and that's what caused that incident. And we'll probably see a penalty awarded for that, but we'll let the race control take care of that. But Pfeiffer behind already. He's got a lot of work to do to catch back up to Christian Ost, who's running in 15th right now. But back up to the top spot, though, it's Chris Hen, Saxon. Look at them all running wide, and that's John D. Allen out in the dirt on the exit of the kink. A dangerous place to drop a wheel off.
Yeah, and as you were saying earlier, when you're stuck in behind someone, you're getting less air to the nose of that car, harder to rotate, and when you're trying to go, a lot of the guys try to go flat out through there. It's just so tempting.
Running wide, there's very wide exit curbing and a couple of the corners here that are very inviting to run off the racetrack. Jonathan White in 3rd place right now, Bresee into 4th. But for the top spot, those front 3 looking like they might start a breakaway here. We'll see if Bresee can hang on.
I think you should be able to. It's just really a matter of if the leaders start battling with each other, they're going to incur a lot more drag. I see Saxon on the back bumper. Chris Hen, we'll see. He's going to sit there. So Saxon being very patient here in the early going.
See Alessandrini popping out of line for 5th, and that's going to be to the outside of Thomas Bresee. You see them kind of chasing each other across the pavement down into turn 1, but yeah, it looks like Saxon content with running 2nd for now.
Also, that incident that we just saw in turn 5 last lap has been called under review by race control, so they'll take a look at it.
Yeah, no surprises there. Down into turn 2 and 3, Saxon not pushing the issue right now. Still 14 minutes of racing left. Hen runs wide, as does White and Bresee. They're all dropping wheels off, trying to carry momentum, and Hen goes defensive on the back straight.
Yeah, but White got a great run, going just a little bit wide. He's gaining on Saxon and Hen, and he's going to be side by side with Hen down in turn 5.
Into the lead, and behind the trees down into turn 5. Here comes Jonathan White for the lead. 2x2 contact with Alessandrini and Allen. That's for 5th place. A little bit of rubbing and bumping there, and Alessandrini almost didn't let the 0-2 back onto the racetrack, but he finally did. Hen hangs onto the lead, but White in 2nd contact for the top spot, and Hen's going to carry the speed back to the top spot. Well, it was first couple laps were pretty calm, but it looks like everything's picked up a little bit, especially in the mid-pack. There's that yellowed car. That's Paul Darling in the 55 and Jesse Stevens in the 13. Stevens has been really, really good all season, but has not had the consistency. I hear some more contact up the road. It might have been with the 2 leaders.
Yeah, actually, also another incident has been called under review between Brian Chabelski and Christian Osk coming out of the final corner on lap 2. It looks like Chabelski got into Osk, so that incident's also be calling under review.
Yeah, I'm actually going to jump back. We're going to try to take a look at that and make our own decision on this, but here... Ooh.
Oh, I don't think you want to. Battle for the lead's heating up.
Well, we're going to quickly take a look. And this was the incident with Chabelski and Oss. Oh, yeah, that almost looked intentional. There might have been something that led up to that. Meanwhile, for the top spot, it's gotten spicy for third. Look at DJ Alessandrini into that spot.
Yeah, you actually might want to re-look at that. Alessandrini took it 3 wide on the back straightaway to make a pass on Saxon and Bresee.
Here's a look. Wow. Yeah, Alessandrini had a big head of steam, and Bresee was dodging and weaving. And look at that 91 to the inside. 3 wide on Saxon, made the pass, and he's now up into 3rd place and trying to hunt down the leaders. But Jonathan White takes the top spot away now to complete lap number 3.
And battle behind them between Paul Darling and Thomas Bresee. Bresee starting to fall back a little bit in this pack.
5 laps to go if we stay at this pace. And with about 11 minutes and 50 seconds remaining, look at the 24 and the 55 down into turn 1. Very tight quarters there, and the 55 goes all the way out onto the curb. Some grass and sand up front.
Chris Henn on the grass.
Chris Henn out wide at the exit of 1. Yeah, this is another quick look at that. Down into turn 1 here. And we're right on board with the 33. Trying to carry speed and bobbled it out into the dirt.
He actually missed a shift, so I think he was trying to get out of the way. Yeah, so that way he just didn't get punted from behind.
DJ Alessandrini into 2nd, but Saxon wants it back. Jonathan White's a 2nd up the road, though. Could he pull away and get out of the draft? He runs way wide entering turn 5, and Saxon passes for 2nd, a boot from John D. Allen and DJ Alessandrini. That's going to shove the 91 out wide.
Yeah, Allen wants to go for it in this race as he's moved up quite a few spots. He's now behind Saxon, but White with a commanding lead.
Yeah, this has gotten very, very physical.
Out of the draft range.
Yeah, he is out of the draft range, 1.7 seconds. And like I said, it's gotten pretty physical here the last couple laps, pushing and shoving a bit more, and they're letting that 22 get away.
Yeah, speaking of getting physical, that incident that we saw earlier in turn 5, no action will be called for that. Everyone's going to be fine. But for the other incident that we saw between Chabelski and Ost, Chabelski's going to get a black flag for it.
So Brian Chabelski in the number 12 car, a penalty for avoidable contact, and there must have been something that led up to that, potentially. It looked like that was a pretty hard hit there to be accidental, so I imagine there was something led up to it. Meanwhile, White out 2 seconds out in front of the field. Saxon and John B. Allen running 2nd and 3rd. They're going to have to start working together. Look at these guys, dirt tracking off the course in the kink.
I really don't know if there's much they can do to work together at this point to try to catch that big of a gap, but I mean, they could definitely try.
Thomas Bresee under attack from Jesse Stevens down into Canada corner. That got tight there for a moment.
And still going to get tight. Mitchell Peak throws a nose to the outside now of Stevens as they head through the final corners.
Jonathan DeCouger, who's inside the top 10 of the standings, actually has had a pretty successful season, but tonight has not really had a whole lot of pace as he's battling right now with 10th place Robert Hartley, who got kind of turned into earlier in the race. White continues to grow his lead, Finian, and as Saxon's under attack from John D. Allen, you have to wonder, have they given up on catching that leader?
Yeah, from the look of it, it looks like they have. I think Allen's is going for any spot he can get at this point.
Or are they trying to do the slingshot back and forth where they kind of slingshot around each other, then draft back up? They could be gaining that way, but Alessandrini's not going to do that. He's going to drive to the inside down in turn 1, right alongside the 41 of Saxon. And Chris Henn trying to recover from his off a couple laps ago, right behind him as they go side by side into turn 3.
Yeah, and Alessandrini gonna get through with that pass. And Saxon now just under attack. Now here comes Chris Henn.
On throttle, you see the gearing, the speed at the bottom right of your screen, the lap times. Henn's off in the dirt as the 41's crowding him over to the right-hand side of the racetrack.
Paul Darling looked like he wanted to make a 3 wide, but backed out of it. Now here comes Chris Hen with the run on Alessandrini. Whoa! Alessandrini makes contact with the 33. They almost get together.
Down into turn 5 again. Everyone trying to get on the binders. Down a couple gears. Hen's out wide over the edge of the curb again. Snodgrass in 14th. Luke Pfeiffer in 13th. These guys battling a pack of their own behind the leaders. But it's Jonathan White continuing to grow his lead. It's up to 2.9 seconds. And right now, all he's got to do is not make a mistake to win this race.
Yeah, pretty much so. He's pretty much been handed this race on a silver platter. He just has to make sure he gets to the end now. It's going to be tough for the guys behind to catch up to him because they're all too busy battling as John D. Allen goes wide.
Oh, Bresee and Stevens got together there for a moment. A push and a shove from the nose of that purple car to the rear of the orange one. And Mitchell Peak putting pressure on the back of the 13. More contact through the carousel. Mitchell Peak started 12th. He's running 9th right now. Through the kink again. High speed. It's flat, almost flat, these cars. He's out wide, as is, I think that's Saxon in 5th who was off course up the road. Alessandrini in 3rd place now. Chris Hen on the outside. Look at them dancing on the brakes. And then that's Robert Hartley popping out of line, taking a look at Stevens, but couldn't get around. But John D. Allen 2.9 seconds behind leader Jonathan White. Then it's Alessandrini, Hen, Saxon, the rest of your top 5.
Yeah, and Allen also starting to break away from the rest of the pack. Not completely clear them just yet, but starting to build up that gap.
Some damage to the nose of Robert Hartley, mostly from that incident down in turn 5 on, I believe it was lap 2. But the field getting strong into a line again, and look at that 0-2. Like you said, not quite at a draft range, but almost there. Alessandrini's back to 3rd, and we know how good DJ is, so he'll probably be able to draft right back up to Allen. But Chris Hen, he's going to deny him that opportunity. He's going to dive to the inside.
And down they go into turn 1. Hen going to cut it really close. Going to try to slide in front of Alessandrini, and he does exactly that by just the nose.
He slid and didn't. Oh, he took that for granted a little bit as Alessandrini backs up to Nathan Saxon trying to get a better run off of turn 3. And look at that run the 91's going to get onto the back straight now. He's going to bring a whole head of steam and a couple cars with him.
Yeah, he's very lucky there. Saxon almost turned him trying to get slowed down so much. But yeah, big run now on Chris Hen. Nothing much he can do. He's not really getting much of a tow off of Allen up ahead. It looks like everyone's going to stack up on the 33.
Yeah, kind of have to pick the strongest car to have out front. Is that the 33? They're hard on the brakes into turn 5. Almost 3 wide down behind them. That's the 13 and the 03. And whoa! Stevens pushes the 03 of Hartley way off the course in turn 5.
Oh yeah, that might be a review there. That was pretty decent contact between them.
Now you're looking from up above here. This is down into turn 5. Watch this tan car. He's going to go on the outside of Stevens. And Stevens just going to push him way, way out into the dirt. Saxon under attack from Paul Darling. How about Paul Darling, by the way, Finian? He's done a great job so far. Started 8th, he's running 6th and looking for 5th on Saxon. Got some work to do to get himself on the podium, but around the outside of the carousel, trying to get that spot away. He's got Bresee to his inside now.
Yeah, Darling 6th in the points, fighting with Hen, who's in 5th in the points, so... Darling trying to do everything he can to get up to that 33. Remember, all those positions, all those points are going to matter.
It should be about 2 laps to go when we get back to the start-finish line. We got about 4 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in this race. And look at Darling under attack from Bresee. Bresee deep on the brakes into Canada corner. He's got Hartley to his outside. And look at Hartley carrying the momentum out onto the curb into the sand. And he's trying to get that 7th spot away from the Bresee machine.
Ooh, there's an incident between the 21 of Mitchell Peak and the 31 of Jonathan DeCouger out of turn 6.
And the 15 of Christian Oates just ran wide, but we'll go back and take a look at this incident briefly. And here it is. DeCouger and the 21 getting kind of tied up together out of turn 6. I don't really know how I feel about this one here, Finian. To me, the 21 didn't give the 31 enough room on exit. He's still forcing the car onto the curb, which I don't think, I don't really consider curb part of the racetrack in that respect. I think you got to give the guy room to come back on.
Yeah, especially because the curb ends at some point, so yeah. So we'll see how race control views that. They might not do anything considering it was Peak that got spun around, but we'll see their ruling. But meanwhile, Jesse Stevens to the inside of Bresee down into turn 2.
So Stevens is going to pick up 8th place, and Bresee's been sliding backwards. He's not been able to hold on to these spots. He's going to give the 13 a shot down the back straight, but it's Jonathan White all out front by 3.2 seconds. He's been absolutely killing the lap times. Was a half a second quicker exactly than John D. Allen last time through, so he will continue to lead. But John D. Allen might be under attack here shortly if Chris Henn and DJ Alessandrini can work together. Meanwhile, the 24 and the 13 got almost together down into turn 5. And right behind them, Jack Sanchez and DeCousier run side by side into turn 5 as well.
Yeah, these guys kind of lost the pack in a battle of their own. Pretty much top 8 or positions 8 through 3, the guys in the main pack for now.
The field is kind of spread out just enough. The only drivers that will not finish this race is Samuel Scott with a blown engine and Michael Borden, who I didn't see take the green flag. Everyone else is still running. Christian Oss has got some significant damage running in 15th. Brian Chabelski behind that. I think he served his penalty, so he's just out there running laps at the moment. We'll check back in with John D. Allen, who's running 2nd, but doesn't have the pace to catch Jonathan White, who's 3.7 out front. A phenomenal race for that 22.
Yeah, and he's pulling away, which is the key thing. He's pulling away from the rest of this pack and everyone else, so he's pretty much going to drive into the sunset. Just has to make sure he doesn't make a mistake.
When you consider the prizes that this series offers, you can read more about them in the description below, but over $4,000 each those prizes are valued at, and it's races like this for drivers like Jonathan White that could potentially jumpstart your real-world racing career. Everyone knows iRacing can be a stepping stone, but it only if it's used properly, and this is proper use of the iRacing service for Jonathan White, leading the race by 3.6 seconds. White flag this time through. Battle for 8th place, Jesse Stevens and Thomas Bresee.
That incident between Jonathan DeCousier and Mitchell Piquet got ruled that DeCousier will get a black flag for the incident.
I am surprised by that. I disagree with that as well, but that's how it is, I guess. So Jonathan DeCousier will have to serve that penalty, and it looks like he will this time through. It is the last lap. One more time around this racetrack. Jonathan White's it's his race to lose. He's 3.6 seconds up the road, but John D. Allen's going to be under attack from Chris Henn here shortly.
And has caught Allen, but is running out of time. But, I mean, if you can get...
Wow, DJ Alessandrini got a big boot from the 41 of Saxon to the point where Alessandrini ran wide, but he's going to carry that speed and try to get back to the 33 of Chris Henn.
Yeah, I guess, that's really good use of momentum there, but Saxon now under attack from Paul Darling in behind. But, yeah, that was a battle between Allen, Henn, and Alessandrini for second, starting to close up here.
There's your leader, Jonathan White. It's 3.5 seconds back to John D. Allen, then Chris Henn, DJ Alessandrini, Nathan Saxon, your top 5. The 55 of Paul Darling sitting just outside. And look at the epic battle between Stevens and Thomas Bresee. They've been battling all race long, and it's not going to end just yet.
Yeah, they've been going at it, and I can imagine Bresee with the season he's had as of late. I'm sure he definitely doesn't want to give up that position.
And he's wide out of turn number 6. Robert Hartley faltering there with the connection that might... Oh, he's back, but it's just barely there. Meanwhile, Allen is lead down to 0.4 of a second. I don't know if it's going to be enough for Chris Henn to eat up that lead, but the white flag officially waving. We're coming back to the checkers this time through. Bresee and Stevens fighting hard for this 8th place spot. We're going to keep an eye on these cars as they make their way to Canada Corner. But for a moment, we're going to jump back to Nathan Saxon, Paul Darling, as they work their way through the kink on the back straight, all the way out to the curbing.
Yeah, and they're going at it yet again. Oh boy.
And behind them, Stevens and Bresee side by side into Canada Corner. Bresee's got the preferred line, but Stevens might be clear heading into Canada Corner. Not quite. Bresee's going to run him out a little bit wide into the rumble strips.
Yeah, Steven goes wide. Bresee's able to pounce back, but meanwhile, through the final corner, Jonathan White will turn onto the front straightaway.
Jonathan White drove away from the field in this one. Even with the draft, it wasn't enough for the field to get it back. So Jonathan White's going to see the checkered flag first, and he's going to visit victory lane in race number 15, round number 8. Behind them for second to the start-finish line. Allen and Henn side by side. Chris Henn's going to get it. No, John D. Allen's credited with second place. No, Chris Henn is by 17 thousandths of a second.
That was really close. Great run from Hen out of the final corner.
And between Bresee and Stevens, 0.2 of a second, the advantage to Bresee. It was so close that the timing and scoring told me Allen had it for a moment, and then it switched back. But we got to go back and watch that finish between those two. Wow. Jonathan White victorious here in race number 15 of the season. Let's jump back and watch this last lap effort by the 33 of Chris Hen. Here they come up onto the front straightaway. And a drag race to the start-finish line, and this is phenomenal stuff. By 17 thousandths of a second. Here it is again. A little bit slower this time. Look at this. This is by a bumper for Chris Hen. He'll get himself onto the podium. John D. Allen slips back to third. Alessandrini to fourth. And then there was another close one behind. That was Paul Darling and Nathan Saxon. There was only a 10th between those drivers. But wow, Finian, what a great race all around. But how about Jonathan White just continuing to impress us, and a victory for him in this one?
Yeah, definitely well earned for him. I think definitely there's some rounds that he would have loved to have done better. He's had some good performances here and there, but definitely I would say this week he's been really dominant at this track and really showing that dominance here with that win. We'll see if he can continue that in race number 2.
Jonathan DeCouger will finish down in 15th place, and that penalty finish, I'm surprised it was ruled that way. I think what was probably going through the minds of the race control was that he probably forced his way back on sooner than he needed to, but certainly the 21 didn't leave him enough room on the actual racing surface. So for me, I don't agree with that call, but for DeCouger, a 15th place result, not going to be great, although the 21 kind of got his own penalty with that, finishing 13th after the spin. Shabelski also got a penalty, finished 14th. Christian Ost, no penalty, but just not a great race for him, 16th place, a lap down. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to interview your top 3 here in just a moment. So stay with us. We'll be right back. That'll be a short break before we get into race number 2 of round number 8, which will be a little bit longer. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back to SimTV and Winding Road Magazine. We're joined now by the second place driver, Chris Hen. Chris, a wild race for you, starting on pole, battling amongst the top 5 for most of the race. A slip up down in turn number 1, but you recovered to second and just barely by 17 thousandths of a second. Walk us through those last couple corners.
Yeah, it was fun trying to track down John, and Jonathan was just gone up front. He was running really, really good, and it was hard for me to keep up with John Allen. He was really hauling ass, but I had to, put my head down and try my best to try and catch him, which I did.
For race number 2, I think now that you've seen how the races kind of play out here, is it going to be harder or easier, do you think, to hold on to the leaders now that everyone's kind of figured out that you can actually break away if the guy's in second on back battle enough?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I'm surprised this race wasn't a train like that. That a few cars did get away, but this track makes for a lot of freight train racing, and we're probably going to be looking forward to a lot of freight train in next race.
All right, Chris, we're going to let you get back to work. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck in race number 2.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you.
Absolutely. Of course, that was Chris Henn, who finished second in this race. Again, taking another look at our format for tonight. About ready to go underway for race number 2, Finian.
We got John D. Allen in the booth.
Oh.
We also got Jonathan White waiting in the wing.
Let's pull them both in. Hey, John Allen, it's Kyle from SimTV. Got a copy?
I hear you, Kyle.
All
Hello,
right.
good evening.
Well, good evening to you as well. It was kind of a wild race out there. We just talked to Chris Henn, who just beat you out at the line by 17 thousandths of a second. Walk us through your race, trying to get back to Jonathan White, and then trying to hold off that 33 coming to the checkers.
Yeah, it was pretty clear with 3 or 4 to go. Jonathan was gone. I had some minor damage to steering the aero, not much, but just enough that there wasn't any hope of catching him. And most of it was my own doing, kind of being aggressive, charging from 10th to 2nd. And but I'm trying to make up for lost time for missing a lot of races this season. Really good to be with you guys and to race, with a lot of stellar talent. So I saw Chris creeping. I knew he was getting the tail end of the draft, and that all important final turn exit here at Road America, he just nailed it in every way. And I had a little bit of grass on the left rear to leave, and he got me. But that was a great challenge at the end.
In race number 2, now that you've seen how race 1 went, do you think it's going to be tricky to kind of hang on to the leaders? Because it seemed like when everyone battles, it's very easy for someone to just drive away. So how are you going to prevent that and keep the leader in touch for race number 2?
Yeah, I think Chris may have mentioned, I think at one point or even 2, he missed a shift during that race, made it a little bit easier on Jonathan. There's places you can go too wide and not slow down very much, but there's a couple where you absolutely cannot. So you got to pick, if you want that spot and to leapfrog the draft train, you got to be very decisive about where you do it, or you might cut the whole pack off of the front 1 or 2.
All right, well, okay, good luck in race number 2, John. It was good seeing you back up here battling for the win, and we'll see you in race 2. Good luck out there.
Thanks, Kyle.
All right, I guess now we'll talk to the race winner. It'll be Jonathan White, who drove the number 22 car tonight, and a victory for the 22, driving away from the field. Jonathan, how's that feeling, seeing everyone battling in the mirror as you drive off into the sunset?
I mean, it feels great. For like the past 7 rounds, I kept getting wrecked out on race 1, like turn 1. So I'm pretty happy with the winning.
It seems like for race number 2, I think we've seen the aggression level kind of amp up. There was a lot of contact in the pack, and you mentioned getting wrecked. It seems like the physicality of the racing has gone up the last couple of weeks. So how do you keep yourself out of trouble for race number 2? Is it about qualifying, or is it just about staying clean until the field singles itself out?
I think because race 2 is a longer race, people are more patient to get in front. So I think the aggression is still there. Just it's later on. For me though, I've been trying to get more aggressive the past few races, because I realized that like last night I took part in a skip bar race, which you were a part of, and I qualified first, right? And then I lost about like 3 places within not even the first few corners. So I knew then that if I don't ramp up my aggression, I'm not going to get anywhere with the pace I have. So this race, race 1 of this race, amped up the aggression, got around Nathan and I think it was Chris, and then just drove away with it.
Just drove away with it. You did, Jonathan. Congratulations on the victory. Good luck in race number 2. A little bit longer. We'll hopefully you'll see you again in victory lane.
Thank you. See you guys.
Absolutely. All right, Phineas. That's going to wrap up race number 1. We're not done yet, though. Take a look at our format coming up in just a couple minutes. Race number 2. It's a 30-minute race, a couple minutes longer, Phineas. So who you got your eye on for race 2?
I think I definitely got my eye probably on Jonathan White, maybe Chris Henn, because Henn, especially in later weeks too, he's been up there fighting for every win that he can. Beginning of the season, he was definitely a top 5 driver, but this as of late, he's just been going for the wins. Hasn't gotten all of them, probably to his dismay, but definitely I think has the pace to potentially get it, maybe in race 2.
All right, we'll see you in a couple minutes after a few words from our sponsors and the people that help put on the show. Thanks. We'll be right back. Welcome back live to SimTV and Winding Road Magazine for the 16th race in the 8th round of the 2019 SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge. Qualifying is underway for the second race of the evening. Race number 2 is 30 minutes long after we just came off race number 1, which was 20 minutes. Jonathan White went to victory lane. Some penalties, some pushing and shoving, some rubbing and bumping out there, Finian. It got a little aggressive out there. What do you think race 2 is going to be like?
I think we're probably going to see something pretty similar, especially considering how close those guys were in the pack. I think it's just natural that guys started to hit each other after being so close to each other for so long. You know, someone's going to just try to go a little bit further into a corner, be a little bit more aggressive, and that's really where we saw some of the contact. And then guys just started going at it after that. But yeah, I was pretty surprised with the way pretty much the entire pack stuck together until some incidents started happening in the later part of the race. So that was kind of interesting. In my opinion, but we'll see if that happens yet again. I'm also interested to see how this qualifying order is going to stack up now. These guys got quite a bit of practice in that race.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ride on board with Thomas Bresee right now. Actually, we're going to ride on board with him for a full lap here on the gyro cam, mounted right behind Bresee's right shoulder. I want to take a look at this racetrack, and there's not a whole lot of banking or anything of that sort that would make the gyro cam go, but it gives you a better idea of the bumps and how aggressive the curbing is. So we'll ride on board with Thomas Bresee for a full lap around Road America here right now. So about 9 minutes left in qualifying. Here is his opening lap, and we'll take a look. A lap around Road America. And this is full 115 miles an hour, almost 120 by the end of the straight. We'll hit 121 down to 4th gear. Back on throttle. Over the rumble strips on corner exit. And down to 3rd gear for turn 3. A long back straightaway under the Sargento Bridge towards turn 5. He's got a big draft off someone in front of him. My knowledge, I think
Samuel Scott.
That's the 98 of Sam Scott. Looks like a lot like Jonathan DeCoucher as well. I think DeCoucher's in a gray car though. Into turn 5, down to what should be about 3rd or 2nd gear. Looks like Bresee will stay in 3rd. Scott went wide in turn 5. That's an off track, and his time will no longer count.
Now he's actually in the way of Bresee as he tries to get through as we go through turn 7. Nice right-hand sweep.
And tracking way out to the rumble strips, except Bresee will not use them. Then down to turn number 8, very much like turn 5. Yeah, Sam Scott really is holding up Bresee here.
I'm actually surprised he didn't decide to pull up. He's still in front of Bresee and see Bresee having to back out.
Yeah, this is a little bit frustrating for the 24. He'll get back on throttle at the exit of the carousel. And he can't even bump draft the 98 here. That is disallowed in qualifying. And through the high-speed kink. Right out to the edge of the track, you hear some gravel pinging off the chassis. And Bresee just has to sit in line here.
Yeah, had to back off on the straightaway to make sure he didn't hit the 98, but now he finally lets Bresee on by.
On the rumble strips on corner exit of Canada Corner, then through a little slalom section here before rejoining the front straightaway. So this lap will probably not be quite as quick as you can go around here, but it should be a decent lap regardless as he enters the final corner. Setting this up just right takes a lot of skill. Using all the track on corner exit underneath the bridge and coming on through for his first timed lap. It looks like his time to be a 2:37.8, which I don't believe was an improvement over his...
He didn't have one set before.
Ah, okay, so an 8th place for Thomas Bresee. He'll probably go again here. Down through turn 1 now. That's the 98 of Sam Scott, and it looks like Bresee's going to pull off now. So Sam Scott in race 1 blew his motor out on, I believe it was lap 1 or lap 2.
Yeah, it was lap 1.
So he didn't even get a chance to complete a lap. So really trying to not do that again in race 2.
Yeah, it was unfortunate because he had to sit out pretty much the entirety of the race. Barely got a chance to show his stuff. So we'll see what happens in race 2. Hopefully he doesn't blow his motor, or for that matter, anyone else. But at the top of the charts, Yujao Sandrini is going to be there. and Jonathan White in second, notably because I think Alessandrini was riding in behind the 22.
Yeah, so take a look at our track conditions. A little bit cooler, but not by a whole lot. 96 degrees on the racetrack compared to 98 from race number 1. But you're right, DJ Alessandrini did, or does have provisional pole at the moment in his blue number 91. He's been winning races all season long, been extremely consistent. He's only had a couple races that didn't go very well. And continues to impress as we head towards the latter part of the season. A competitor in the Grid Life Touring Cup in real life, and was at Grid Life Midwest. And I don't believe he'll be running at Road Atlanta in a couple weeks, but he will be at Road America in his GLTC car in September.
And actually, I just want to take this moment to look at Alessandrini's finishes through all 14 of the last few races. So this is starting at VIRs. These are all his finishes. Second, first, second, first, third, second, first, sixth, 10th, first.
Yeah, you know, when we crown a champion at the end of the season, I don't think it'd be very surprising if DJ Alessandrini was the one.
I think it will be surprising if he doesn't, honestly, considering his consistency. Obviously, the way the format is, he definitely has a shot of not making it, but I mean, I feel like that'll be robbery considering how consistent he's been. He's only finished outside the top 3 in 2 rounds. The top 3 in 2 rounds, that's impressive.
And let me remind you that DJ is not a newcomer to SimTV coverage. And every championship, okay, there's a disclaimer here. Every championship but one that he's raced on SimTV on our channel, he's won. The only exception to that is Grid Life's Stadium Super Truck Series, which was a lot less serious than the other ones they'd had, so one could argue that that didn't really count. So we'll still give him a perfect record there. So, you know, everything's looking in his favor for the championship if he continues doing what he's doing. Chris Hatton, however, in that 33, finished second in race 1, 5th quick in qualifying for race number 2. Paul Darling pulling back on the racetrack in his number 55. Oh, he went quickest, Finian.
Yeah, I was just about to say. By a decent margin, too. Nothing too shabby, so 236.386 for Paul Darling. That's about, I want to say, 3/400ths of a second faster than Alessandrini. So, decent gap. We'll see if Alessandrini can answer that as he leads off another charge. Notably, this time, White in behind the 91.
So trading places here for a one last run at qualifying. Looks like they will get 1 lap to basically improve their time, and the times are quicker than last race, I believe. About 2 seconds quicker, actually, from what I've seen. A 2:36.3 is pretty darn fast. A couple drivers have not made laps yet. Jonathan DeCouger, John D. Allen, Luke Pfeiffer, Jesse Stevens, Nathan Saxon, although I think someone just put their time in. A couple drivers just put their time in. Jonathan DeCouger has not yet left the pits, though. Maybe starting from the rear in this one?
Yeah, it seems like he might offer that. I mean, he could still get on the track, but he has to hurry and decide if he wants to get out now.
Yeah, he's not going to make it around even if he leaves now. So Jonathan DeCouger will start tail of the field tonight. John D. Allen's on a timed lap right now, and Nathan Saxon is as well. That leaves DeCouger as the only driver that will not participate in qualifying for this session. Robert Hartley, 4th quick right now. And really didn't have a great result comparatively to what he has been capable of running. And again, he's fighting DJ Alessandrini in the points and has not been able to really eat in significantly the last couple weeks. And he's really got to put on a performance in this race to be able to do so, and hope for Alessandrini's troubles to start at the first place, because Alessandrini hasn't had a whole lot of trouble this season.
Yeah, speaking of which, that group of those drivers, Darling, Alessandrini, and White, they're coming through Canada Corner just about now and getting ready to start their final chance at a time lap.
So we're on board with Jonathan White here as we head into the final couple of corners. And let's just watch and see what speed he attains down the front straight. We saw 121 off of Thomas Bresee. Looks like Michael Borden has joined us for race number 2 after not completing the first lap in race number 1, but White accelerating now. We'll see what kind of speed he gets up to in the draft here on the front straight. So 104 at the line. Looks like it'll be about the same, 121 before jumping on the binders down to 4th gear. Look at Alessandrini trailing dirt using all the curbing. Looks like Paul Darling might have already invalidated his lap. Down into turn 3. Very smooth for Jonathan White.
Yeah, that's really the thing. You want to keep up your momentum. You don't want to choke it on exit. You want to keep the run going, especially on these long straightaways, because that's where you can make up a lot of time in the draft.
The Darling sits on pole, but he potentially invalidated his lap. Now, what's the incentive for him to keep helping these drivers behind him?
Honestly, not a lot. In fact, honestly, if I was him, I would just kind of pull to the side and let them deal with it. But it looks like, oh, Darling goes way wide. That's definitely going to invalidate his lap, as the checker flag is now out in the air.
As the checkered flag flies, they'll give them 3.5 minutes to come back around. And yeah, Darling is way off course, and now he's going to pull off. And so for DJ Alessandrini, that's going to hurt his efforts to be on pole for this race.
Yeah, we'll see. Jonathan White still in behind Alessandrini. If he can still gain something, he's looking pretty quick on this lap.
Riding on board the gyro cam on Jonathan White's machine as they head through the carousel. In a lot of faster cars, you're balancing on the throttle and the brake through here, but in these cars, you're almost flat out, maybe just a slight lift in the center before jumping back on the go pedal. So there's not a lot of finesse around here at this racetrack with this car. It's just brute force, pedal to the metal, through the firewall the whole time.
Yeah, White did a great job navigating the kink and getting a great one on that 91. So it'll be really intriguing to see where these guys stand up. Can they beat Paul Darling?
Got a couple more corners left to navigate. White is all over DJ Alessandrini, staying in behind as they run wide on the curbing on exit. Only a few more corners left in their qualifying effort. Can they improve on Alessandrini's 236.416? Final corner. Alessandrini's a touch wide, but carries a bit more speed than White, but White's going to get the draft up the hill. Here they come to the checkered flag. Paul Darling has provisional pole with a 236.387. Does anyone beat it as they come to the line?
And here they come. Across the line they go. And indeed, White will be getting pole for now. We'll wait for the final few drivers to come across.
Yeah, and it was pole by 40 thousandths of a second. So White takes pole away from Paul Darling at the last moment. Couple more drivers still to come through, but Chris Henn had no draft help, won't be able to improve. He's sitting 7th right now. There's only a few cars left on course. Thomas Bresee, Luke Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer currently scored 16th. A whole lot would be an improvement right now for him.
Yeah, I think he should definitely improve. He's going to actually try to overtake Bresee coming to the line.
Should be an improvement for Pfeiffer at least. He was a 239.2. Now he's a 237.6, which will put him about 10th quick. There he goes. And for the 24, a 12th place result. So that qualifying is complete. As we look from high above, there is your qualifying order on the left-hand side of your screen. It's Jonathan White on pole. Darling, Alessandrini, Hartley, Borden, your top 5. Sam Scott, 6th. Henn, 7th. Stevens, 8th. Saxon, 9th. Pfeiffer, 10th.
Here's an interesting thing. I hear John D. Allen over the radio. If you noticed, one of the only other guys besides Seca to put a time down. Interesting about that is that he tapped Hartley after they crossed the line, and that invalidated his lap.
Oh boy, so John D. Allen have to start at the rear of the field, as will Jonathan DeCousier. I think for DeCousier it was choice. It was not choice for John D. Allen. All right, take another look at our conditions before we head to the racetrack. It is warmed up a little bit, 98 degrees. Pretty much exactly like what it was for race number 1. And again, race number 2 is 30 minutes, which is 10 minutes longer than race 1. Bit higher up in the incident limit, though, and I imagine some drivers got close with the off-tracks and the contact to getting those 2-point championship deductions. Qualifying officially complete, White on pole. And from finishing first in the last race to starting first in this race, his performance has been getting better and better. He's got to hold off some hard chargers for the race. Heading down to the racetrack here, Finian gridding up for a couple minutes before we take our pace lap and go racing at Road America. So for Samuel Scott, Finian, he didn't even get a lap of racing in because he blew his motor down in Canada corner. What does he have to learn in the first couple minutes of this race?
Oh, honestly, I think just following the draft. Don't try to make too many aggressive moves early. Just try to keep together in the pack and just keep with the leaders in there. Because once everyone starts making some moves, some guys get held up and end up losing the draft, and that could be big things. I think a matter is just following the status quo for the first, in this case, first 20 minutes, and then the last 10 start to push in, go more aggressive.
While we wait for this field to get up and rolling, we'd like to remind you that if you want to see more of this kind of action, you can find us on www.youtube.com/SimTV Broadcasting. This fall, we'll have 7 days a week of sim racing action from all over the simulated world, from road courses to ovals to short tracks to super speedways. And we restart the Scars Ferrari Challenge tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. at Daytona Road. Then on Sunday night, it's the 3-wide Yinzer Graphics Unreal Tour from Richmond Raceway. Before we cycle around to, I believe, Scars Ferrari Challenge is the next one after that. So it's been a fun year and a half that we've been doing this, Finian, and having Scars Ferrari Challenge coming back for the 4th season is really cool. And the man that started all that was Jonathan DeCouger. And he's starting all the way at the tail of the field for this one. And DeCouger's been by our side the whole time, from Ferrari Challenge all the way to SPEC MX-5 Challenge. So we want to thank him for coming on board. Thank our sponsors again for coming on board, sponsoring this event and helping us get on the network. We want to thank Paradigm Shift. We want to thank WeatherTech, LevelUp Racing School, Winding Road Magazine, and SPEC MX-5 for allowing this to happen. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. You wouldn't see any of this, and none of these drivers would get a chance to race a real car. And that is where we're going to gift as a prize at the end of the season. You win this championship, you get a chance to kickstart your racing career. I'd love to do the LevelUp Racing School. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool to do. So I was just kind of doing a little bit of reading, just looking at the incident points that guys tallied up. You guys seem to have gone over. Robert Hartley occurred 16 in the last race and 5 for 17. And quite a few guys also got pretty close at around 13 or 14. And John DeAllen was really close to 15.
So while the field is pacing, we'll once again play our track map and track guide in video in case you didn't see it the first time, and remind you what Road America is all about. Between the cities of Milwaukee and Green Bay, there's 640 acres of racing facility known as Road America. The course is over 4 miles long and is one of the few circuits in the world to retain its original configuration, which contains 14 turns. The track in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin is host of the NASCAR Xfinity Series, the NTT IndyCar Series, the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, Pirelli World Challenge, ASRA, the AMA Superbike Series, Trans Am, and more. The course is mostly flat, with a few small elevation changes on the front straight and heading into turn number 5. In the Mazda MX-5, Road America is mostly flat out. The braking zones are short with mostly slow corners. The passing zones in turn 1, turn 5, and turn 12, known as Canada Corner, present the best opportunity to overtake. The draft will be immensely important tonight, so staying in line until the end of the race may be a good way to guarantee a great result. The field works their way through the kink and onto the back straightaway here at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It's a 4.048 mile racetrack. It's got 14 turns, and they're working through the 11th of 14 right now, heading down to Canada Corner. This was a trouble spot for a couple of drivers, Finian. This whole back sector really was for incidents, especially heading into the final corner. We saw a few incidents there. Brian Chabelski got a penalty after making contact with Ost. We saw some more pushing and shoving. We'll see how race 2 goes, but again, a little bit longer race. As Jonathan White was saying, people tend to calm down for race number 2. Predictions? Who you got winning this race?
What I got, honestly, I'll be kind of hard pressed to not pick that 22. Looking through the rest of the order, I would think, I'm going to go with Paul Darling. I don't think he's got a win so far this season, and I definitely think he could be looking for his first one here, starting on the front row.
Pace car is about to peel off. It's 30 minutes about to get on the timing and scoring. And it's going to be 17 drivers going for the victory here at Road America. It's round number 8, race 16 of the season. After this, round 9, round 10, and then the season finale. It's all coming to a head here. Who's going to earn themselves a chance to drive a real race car at Circuit of the Americas? Green flag flies racing at Road America in race number 16.
Yeah, and they go across the line, they come. White's going to lead them down. Darling in behind. He's clear of Alessandrini. Will he go single file as Alessandrini starts to get a good draft?
Down into turn 1, everyone trying to find space to run. Lap number 1, the race number 1 was very, very clean. We'll see if it's this way as well. Through turn 1, everybody makes it down to turn 2 and 3. Paul Darling settles into third. I see Mitchell Peak and Thomas Bresee fighting, as well as Nathan Saxon in that gray 41.
Yeah, Michael Borden starting to make some moves. He gets past Hartley, so Borden now up into 4th place.
Jonathan White trying to pull away, but it's going to be a lot harder with DJ Alessandrini starting in 2nd, but Darling in 3rd. You mentioned Borden in 4th, Hartley in 5th, down the long back straightaway here at Road America into turn number 5 for the first time.
And as they head on down, Alessandrini going to stay in behind White. Ooh, I think I heard some contact.
Oh,
Indeed, I did. Hartley around.
Hartley again. Issues for the 0-3 for the 2nd race in a row, and the field scatters to try to miss it. Let's go back quickly, find out what happened to him. And he was right behind the 42 of Borden and in front of the 13 of Jesse Stevens. And the field's going to, according effect here, and Stevens just drills him from behind. And Hartley managed to kind of drift and slide it through with minimal damage, but lost a lot of positions.
Yeah, I'm sure Hartley's frustrated as something similar happened in race number 1, and he's got put in the back yet again.
So Jesse Stevens might be facing a penalty for that. And he's got blood on his hands on that front bumper early in the going, but it's Jonathan White out front by 0.6 of a second. Alessandrini, Darling, Borden, Stevens, your top 5. And Jonathan White already putting some distance on Alessandrini. You see someone run really wide. That was Samuel Scott in the grass on lap number 1.
Yeah, as everyone heads down towards Canada Corner, everyone got a little bit spread out after what happened with Hartley, so now everyone's starting to close back up with the help of the draft.
John D. Allen and Christian Ost fighting. There's Jonathan DeCouger as well, down into Canada Corner for the first time. Using all the curbing on corner exit. Then back onto the front straight to complete lap number 1. Chris Henn all the way back in 7th place. Finian finished 2nd in race 1. He's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, he's got a decent amount of work to do, although, again, just really the key is being in that lead pack and keeping within the draft. So if Henn can at least manage that, he should still be a factor by the end of this race.
Cross the line to complete lap number 1. Jonathan White leads it. Of course, the iRacing.com motorsport simulation service has a lot of racetracks to choose from, and while they don't directly sponsor this series, that's the medium we're using to determine talent here. And if you're interested in sim racing, you should definitely check out www.iracing.com if you want to be a part of this series in the future or others like it. There's lots of world championships that you can enter. And of course, Luke Pfeiffer under attack from Nathan Saxon. Saxon's going to try to take the spot away. Through turn number 3.
Yeah, not entirely quite. Looks like Pfeiffer's just going to hang on and start to get a run. Meanwhile, I see some shuffling up towards the front, and that's Michael Borden making a pass on Paul Darling. How about Borden now coming into his own in this race?
Borden doing very, very well. But up front, I'm looking at those front 2 drivers pulling away. It's White and Alessandrini, and these from third on back, they got to get sorted out, or they're going to lose those leaders like they did in race 1.
White goes wide into the grass, but he's going to keep it going somewhat straight. But yeah, big battle for third going on, as now Stevens has entered the fray and is going to try to get around Darling.
Oh, Borden's off the course. Trailing some tires through the dirt, as is Nathan Saxon behind. He drove through the dirt on corner exit as well.
Oh, and I think these guys are pretty much lost the draft, or if not, they're mighty close to it, as Borden still holding everyone off as much as he can.
And look at Jesse Stevens looking to the outside of the 42 now. and right on the quarter panel as they worked their way through the carousel.
Borden was close through a little bit of a block on Stevens. Stevens almost looped him around. That was really close.
And dancing, waiting for that throttle pedal to get back to the floor. Look at Paul Darling and Sam Scott and Chris Head all in the dirt behind him. Then through the high-speed kink, almost full throttle through here.
That was through the full throttle. These guys in the back have to lift up just a little bit to make the corner. Now we'll see if Stevens can get a good enough run to make a pass in Canada corner.
He's going to have a big run. What does he do with it? He's going to stay in line for now. Down into Canada corner, everyone pretty much staying in line. Christian Ost, Jonathan DeCoutre still fighting for 15th place. Mark Snodgrass was off course down in Canada corner, ran a little wide. Let's take a quick look. Harmlessly off in the sand. Those front two, I think they're gone, Finney, and it's going to be Jonathan White or DJ Alessandrini winning this race, barring something drastic happening. They're going to work together the whole race just to pull away.
Yeah, you're going to say Alessandrini did a great job just playing this smart, and he's giving as he gives a bit of a bump to White as they're doing everything they can to get separated from those two, because once they get separated, it's just going to be those two guys fighting out for the win. Down
into turn one, look at Pfeiffer side by side with Nathan Saxon, and Pfeiffer to get on the binders to not run into the side of the 41, and Bresee's going to take advantage, drive around the outside and maybe try to cross over, but there's not a big enough hole to slot through.
Yeah, Bresee with a big power move. Now here comes Pfeiffer charging into the corner, though Bresee's going to get a better run off.
Wow, that was a power move around the outside, and Mitchell Peak is going to come on through now with a big run to the outside of the 06.
Yeah, momentum racing right there. You saw Pfeiffer on the inside just stuck there, couldn't get as good of a run off, and he's going to lose another spot to that.
Leaders down into turn number 5 on the brakes. And when you're so single file like this, you got to worry about that accordion effect. And everyone jumps on the brakes and stacks each other up while Pfeiffer out way wide in turn 5.
Oh boy, and I think that's Sanchez in there. He almost made it 3 wide. Ooh,
contact.
There's a big bump.
Contact from the 23 to the back of the 21. I think those guys have had run-ins before this season. And Pfeiffer continues to drop down spots. He's really struggling right now.
Yeah, I think with the just being constantly under attack, it's led to him just being dropped forward. And Jack Sanchez charges the corner. He's going to go off wide. So will Pfeiffer. And here comes Hartley now, 3 wide through the carousel.
Yeah, Hartley, whoa, that's dicey. 3 wide through the carousel is not something you can usually do. These little Miatas do it okay, though. But look at the move that Jack Sanchez does, and he's going to push Hartley a little bit wide. Hartley, again, the crash and the issue on lap number 1 has been shuffled back to 13th and has had a hard time getting back through the field.
Yeah, I think he's just caught a lot of traffic that is just not willing to really settle with being passed there. A lot of guys giving him a fight for position.
Sanchez on the outside of Pfeiffer now heading into Canada corner. Oh, and Sanchez is going to be way wide out in the gravel trap through turn 12.
And John D. Allen's going to sneak through Hartley in the grass. So he's going to hook Pfeiffer around.
Big hit for Pfeiffer in the concrete, and Hartley's going to spin as well. Crash damage for those 2 cars. And just like that, that is going to probably be the end of Hartley's race, and certainly for Pfeiffer. A big accident coming out of Canada corner. Here's another look. Everyone just got kind of stacked up here on the exit of Canada corner, and then Hartley tries to go up the inside and was already in the grass and just off the course and just drills the 06. And nothing Pfeiffer could have done about that. Nothing Pfeiffer did really wrong either.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anything, that's going to be a penalty going to Hartley, whose day has already been made worse, so we'll wait for race control to give us an update on that.
Here's a look from onboard Pfeiffer's machine. He probably thinks he's all clear, runs Sanchez a little wide, and then they get the right-hander here. And Hartley was to the inside, he had no idea, gets clipped.
Whoa! Down in turn 5, Jesse Stevens with a great pass. Oh, he actually charged it too much.
Let's jump back quickly and just see the pass that Jesse Stevens did. Yep, on the brakes late, but Borden crossed him over. Excellent job by Borden to take that spot back. But they're both 1.5 seconds behind DJ Alessandrini and Jonathan White. Jonathan White had actually earned about an 0.8 of a second lead over DJ Alessandrini. I was actually concerned that White would leave Alessandrini behind, and that's how quick White has been. Alessandrini's having a hard time keeping up.
Yeah, she just went off the grass in the corner there, but looking at last lap, Stevens and Borden both went 0.3 faster than our leaders, so they're slowly closing in, although Borden goes way wide out of the carousel.
Chris Henn attacking Samuel Scott. Remember, Scott didn't even complete one lap last race with a blown motor on the end of lap number 1. But Henn's got to get by this 98 to get up to Paul Darling, Stevens, and Borden. He did finish second in race 1, trying to repeat that in race 2. Right behind Thomas Bresee in 9th, trying to attack Nathan Saxon. That would be for 8th place.
And he's good. A lot of these guys have been going at it for pretty much most of this race, so a lot of guys working together, a lot of guys not doing so and just trying to get every spot they can grab.
Jack Sanchez, Jonathan DeCouger fighting for 12th. They're side by side through turns 13 and 14. But Jack Sanchez will get the spot. Checking back in with 6th place, Sam Scott and Chris Henn. They're just tacked onto the end of Paul Darling's draft. But Chris Henn looks like he's going to stay tucked in line and hopefully catch back up to that 55 car. So right now it looks like Robert Hartley and Luke Pfeiffer both scored as out of the race. That leaves 16 cars on the lead lap.
Also, the incident between the 13 and the 03, the incident that took out Hartley in turn 5, that's being called under review.
Yeah, it's not going to be good for Hartley because there's really nothing that they can do to penalize him in the race now. So my bet is that it might be a points penalty of some sort. We'll see, though. Jonathan White and DJ Alessandrini bump drafting on the back straight into turn 5, but they are losing ground to 3rd place Michael Borden.
Yeah, and once they start going at it like that, the second pack, which is definitely sizable, it's about 5 guys chasing them. They're going to catch up, but it's going to be, instead of a 2-car battle for the lead, it's going to be a 7-car battle.
1.4 seconds between Borden and Alessandrini, and I think DJ knows that. He was pushing the 22 hard down into turn 5, just trying to extend that lead a little bit. The last time by, Borden was quicker than both Alessandrini and White from 3rd. Through the carousel for the 5th time, about 12 laps in this race with 5 complete, closing in on halfway. Alessandrini a touch wide, he's going to get some grass on the tires.
Ooh, and for the incident on lap 1 in turn 5, Jesse Stevens is now being called into the pits to serve a black flag.
Which is not going to help Michael Borden at all. But Jesse Stevens has been given a penalty for avoidable contact. That was contact on lap number 1. That will do it. That's going to break up this second pack and really going to hurt Michael Borden and Paul Darling.
Yeah, actually, just in exchange for the lead on the back straightaway, it looks like Alessandrini overtook White.
They're not done. They're battling right now. You saw the 13 bail out to kind of take up as little of the 42's time as possible, but that has brought Borden back into draft range of the leaders as Alessandrini takes the lead away from White in the back half of the course. And we're almost halfway through.
Yeah, and Borden's been just hitting his lines a lot better than the leaders, so I think he's definitely going to be a big threat once he catches up to them.
Stevens off into pit lane. Now the question is, we saw Alessandrini have trouble sticking with White. Can White stick with Alessandrini now that the rules are reversed?
I think he definitely should be if his pace in race 1 is anything to go by, so we'll keep an eye on this 22 as Alessandrini goes on wide.
Mitchell Peak, Nathan Saxon, this is for 8th place side by side. They continue to run. Ooh, I hear some contact up the road, and Samuel Scott might have been involved. Heard some contact, and
yeah, it was Chris Henn and Samuel Scott getting into it a little bit. Minor contact.
Here's another look from on board the 33. Just clipped the quarter panel of the 98. But Borden has caught the front 2, as has Paul Darling, and Chris Henn is pretty close behind as well if that front four begins to fight.
Oh, and just went wide off the curb, so he's got to be careful here. He's so close to getting back into that drafting range off of Darling, so if he just make sure he hits his apex, he should be back up there with the leaders.
Getting late into the stages of the season, and desperation is mounting to collect race victories. Alessandrini's well ahead of everyone in the points, but Jonathan White could use some more wins, and right now he's been chasing down Alessandrini for the latter half of this lap, as he lost the lead just after the kink the last time around. So he's going to try to set Alessandrini back up. 15 minutes left in this race. We're halfway through lap 6 of 12.
Yeah, and White, before the night started, was 13th in points. So I can imagine his finish in race 1. Potentially his finish, even if he finishes second in race number 2, it's going to give him a lot of points to boost him further up the standing. So he could, his goal for the championship round at the end, this could really help him out.
Down into Canada corner. White on the bumper of DJ Alessandrini might be content sitting and waiting here until the end of the race. Michael Borden, though, he might be a bit more aggressive. We'll see what he does when he gets to the back of the 22.
Oh, man, Alessandrini's
Oh,
pushing,
contact!
I think, a little
Canada
bit too hard.
corner. Thomas Bresee and Mitchell Peak crashing. And there goes the 24 into the fence out of Canada corner. And for Bresee, the bad luck continues. There's a look down into the corner. Oh, he slipped on the grass. Kind of came across the nose of the 21. And they almost had it saved and into the tire barrier. Hard hit for the 24. And I hate that for Bresee. Oh, big hit.
So up in the front, battle for second place going on. Even for the lead, too, looked like White was going to make a pass on Alessandrini, but Borden won second place. He's going to do a crossover on White as they go through turn 2 and down to turn 3.
Bresee hits pit lane from 14th place, but for the top spot, 3-car battle with 13 and a half minutes to go. Alessandrini, White, Borden, and Darling just clinging to the back of this draft.
Yeah, and Borden's going to get a nice run here. He looks to be a little bit more gutsy here in these later stages.
I don't think Borden has anything to lose here. I think he might be really aggressive these next couple minutes, but for now he sits in line. And into turn 5 over the curbs, trying to chase down Alessandrini.
Yeah, just past halfway with 13 minutes to go. So coming down to it, we got Alessandrini, White, Borden, your top 3, then Darling's going to round out pretty much the guys in that lead pack. Looks like Hen's kind of just a little bit too far out at this point to try to catch them. Rounding out our top 5, and then we got Samuel Scott, John D. Allen, Mitchell Peak, Nathan Saxon, and Jonathan DeCouger rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, Allen, Peak, and Saxon just had a great battle down into turn 5, and Allen won that battle, but DeCouger and Sanchez fighting for 10th place right now. Let's jump back up to the top spot, though. Those front 3, now it's only 4 tenths back to Paul Darling, so it's going to be a 4-car battle here shortly as long as Darling can stay in the fight.
Yeah, I'm also curious what Darling can bring to the table. Started on the front row for this race. We'll see if he can bring that pace that he had to fruition here as he's gotten to battle through 3 cars for the lead.
Paul Darling from Dearborn, Michigan, and runs autocross and SCCA racing. And right now in 4th place and trying to get to 3rd, but look at the action in front of him. 3 cars buzzing like bees, trying to steal the lead away from the blue one up front. That's Alessandrini.
Yeah, Alessandrini really pushing his car. I think he's used up his tires. I've noticed him.
Big hit from the 22.
Contact from behind.
A big push from Jonathan White. It's going to stack everybody up out of the final corner.
Yeah, and here comes Borden's going to get a huge run off of that. White's going to give him the space. Will Borden make it 3-way? No, he's going to give a push to the 91.
A drag race down the front straight. Borden pushing TJ Alessandrini. Paul Darling pushing Jonathan White. 2 by 2 down the front straight.
Let's see, does Borden pull off to try to make a pass? And he's going to be in behind the 91. So Borden now up into 2nd.
And if these guys keep stacking each other up, don't look too far behind to find Chris Henn, who's silently and quickly worked his way up into 5th place. He's dangerous at the end of these races. If he can get there, he'll be a factor. Out of turn 3 now. Oh, Henn and Sam Scott out wide. They're trying to carry as much speed as they can to catch these leaders.
Yeah, they've been catching them over the course of the last lap, but yeah, I think with going wide like that, and especially battling with one another, they're not going to catch it anytime soon.
Into turn 5. On the brakes again, watch the accordion effect. Everyone's going to get through this time okay. Darling carrying a lot of speed, trying to cling to the back of this battle, and he does. Sitting 4th right now. Jesse Stevens has retired from the race, as has Bresee, Ost, and Hartley, and Pfeiffer. So a lot more cars involved in collisions and incidents this time around.
Yeah, speaking of which, the incident with Bresee and Mitchell Peak, no action, no further actions can be taken.
5 laps to go approximately here at Road America. It's the 16th race, the second race of the night in round number 8. There's only 2 more rounds after this, and then there's the season finale. And Road America, one racetrack that is a great equalizer with the draft here. We might not see this be as big of a factor the next couple of weeks. Field rolls through the kink at high speed, over 115 miles an hour. He's trying to stay in touch with Alessandrini, who actually gained a little bit of a lead that time through, 0.4 of a second. Not quite enough to break the draft from the drivers behind, though.
Yeah, so everyone... Oh, you're saying?
No, I was going to say Alessandrini has a lot of damage from that contact with Jonathan White. Jonathan White got the worst end of it, though, with the damage on the front. That's going to hurt him a heck of a lot more than it's going to hurt DJ Alessandrini. The next couple rounds, though, Finian, Sebring and Watkins Glen. So a couple more great American road courses coming up. Sebring down in Florida, Watkins Glen in upstate New York. And that's how we're going to finish off a regular season before finishing off the finale back at Road Atlanta, where we were 1 round to go.
Yeah, some great tracks lined up, especially looking forward to Road Atlanta. As the round last week proved to be fantastic, great showing, and even at Road America, it's been a great race so far as we're coming down to these closing stages.
On the brakes, it'll be about 4 laps to go, 8 minutes and 40 seconds left. Over the curbs, look at Alessandrini, he's out in the dirt. Here comes Borden to the inside.
Yeah, Borden's going to have a bit of a look, doesn't look like he's committed, going to stay in behind that 91. Does he dare make a move in turn 5?
Nope, they're all going to stay lined up astern. 5th place Samuel Scott has dropped to 3 seconds behind, so he and Chris Hen have kind of lost sight of this front battle. So it's 4 cars in it with 4 laps to go. About 16 miles to the end of the race, and Borden is just pushing Alessandrini hard. He's just going to be patient here, I think.
Yeah, he's got to be careful, though, giving a bit of a push. That bumper is a little bit dented for the 91, so he can easily hook him around by accident.
He's going to take a look. Here's his opportunity. Here it comes to the inside of Alessandrini. He's going to make a lift and get right back in line.
Yeah, I think he's actually a little bit more concerned of White getting a chance of passing him, so I think Borden's going to be careful on how he makes his move.
Through turn 7 now, high speed right-hander out, way out onto the curb. Then down to turn 8, which is so much like turn 5. On the brakes hard again. These cars do have anti-lock brakes. And, you know, as a driver, you typically don't like cars with anti-lock brakes because you don't really get to emergency brake. When you jump on the binders, you can't lock up the tires, which for a race car is a good thing, but for a race car driver, sometimes you want that emergency ability to just lock them things up and stop your car. So that's why this is so sketchy on the braking zones, is because if you miss your braking point, you're pretty much going to run into the back of somebody.
Yeah, braking distance increased a lot more with anti-lock brakes, but Borden with a great run. Does he make a move now? I've just been curious. He's looking like he wants to, but hasn't made the move yet.
Yeah, he's just taking a look. He's testing the waters. There he goes to the inside out of turn 12.
Nope, another look over that. He checked up, and that allowed White now to get around.
White's not going to wait. Here he comes to the inside through turn 13. Over the curb, just barely on the racetrack.
That could have been dangerous there, but White's going to continue on. Borden to the inside of White now. He's going to try to get second place back.
Yeah, there's really no point in waiting around right now. I think it has proved to be difficult enough to pass that I think you want to be leading. I think if you get the last corner right, you can defend, but I don't think you want to sit and wait until the last corner. Chris Hen made it work from second, but these guys are fighting for second too hard, and they're letting Alessandrini get away. They have to sort this out quickly.
Yeah, and White with a bump from Paul Darling behind. Also with some toe to Alessandrini, who's helping out White to kind of continue this fighting behind him.
Down into turn 1, side by side. White's going to be able to... Oh, he's almost cleared the 42. But the more they fight, the farther ahead DJ Alessandrini is going to get. They have to sort this out.
Yeah, it looks like they are going to sort it out by the time they get down to turn 3. Borden with a great run. He's definitely looking like... It looks like Borden's probably got the best car out of everyone in this pack for now. But again, just hasn't made that move, and I think waiting on it more is going to let White have some more opportunities to get second place back.
Well, let's be clear. If you're second place, you can probably make a last lap pass work. But if you're third place, it's going to be really difficult for you to get past 2 cars. So there's no incentive for Jonathan White to sit around in third. You want to be in second place for this. Michael Borden, though, isn't making that move to make it pass. And that's not giving Jonathan White the track position that he wants. So White's going to be really aggressive. And Borden's going to be defensive, but I think they both need to be aggressive now. They're running out of time. 5 minutes left in this race. Through turn 7 now. And Paul Darling just hoping and praying that these guys get together and just let the seas part for him.
Oh, and Samuel Scott has just been told to come down to pit road to serve a black flag for passing the incident limit.
Wow, passing the incident limit. That's interesting. So Samuel Scott, penalized, will have to make a trip down the pit lane. He is currently scored in, or was scored in 5th place. He will relinquish that to to Chris Henn. But Chris Henn 2.9 seconds back from the leaders as, wow, look at Borden dirt tracking it through the King.
Yeah, he's putting it all out there. There he goes, side by side with Alessandrino. Two Canada corner. Here they come.
Side
Deep
by side.
on the brakes.
Oh, man.
Looks like Borden's going to go wide, and Alessandrini's going to keep the spot. And here comes Jonathan White now for second.
They're still fighting for second. They can't decide who they want to have try to take down Alessandrini. And they're going to have 2 laps to figure it out. Borden and White still side by side for second.
Yeah, Borden's definitely not giving this up, though. White, though, deep on the brakes.
He's got it.
Borden gonna...
White's
got it for now. Borden with the crossover, with the run off the corner. Here he comes.
Are they going to work together, or will they continue? They're going to fight still. And Alessandrini is going to get that lead back. 2 laps to go at Road America.
Yeah, and actually, Borden's actually surprisingly gaining some time. Still with the run, using a bit of side drive as they're both chasing down Alessandrini. Here they come into turn 1. This is going to be interesting.
Paul Darling's got a big run as well. I think he's just going to sit on it, though. 3 minutes and 24 seconds remaining. Borden chucks it down the inside. He's going to take second place away. Does White try the crossover?
He can't, because now Paul Darling is coming with the move to the inside. Here comes Darling now for 3rd place.
Darling is lighting the candle when he needs to fire the most. Out of turn 3 and going to make a huge run on the 42 as long as he can get the draft. He's 0.3 of a second behind, but Borden trying to chase down Alessandrini.
Yeah, next lap is going to be the white flag, so they got about 1.5 laps now left in this race. So time's starting to run out here, and Borden's got to try to make the move yet again.
White back to the inside of Paul Darling. He's really late on the brakes, but he's going to complete the pass. Darling going to cross him over out of the exit of the corner. I think these guys are going to give up a chance to win if they fight, but they won't. They're going to get back in line. It's Borden and Alessandrini, your top 2. Oh, White out over the edge of the curb, dragging the right rear tire over the gravel. And they've lost 0.7 of a second to those front 2 drivers.
Yeah, they got to make sure they really make up some time here, because again, they're going to be coming to the white flag next time by. So want to make sure you're up there when these guys potentially make a mistake or get together.
Look at Borden going out way wide in the carousel. Going to try to make a late apex. Dancing on the brakes. Getting the rear end to come around the front and rotate. Hit that apex curve and back on the throttle. Through the kink. 115 miles an hour. Almost to the floor. He's going to have about 5 miles left to complete a pass on leader DJ Alessandrini.
Oh, he's not going to need a lot of them. He looked like he had a look, but I think he felt it's not a good enough run.
On the
Here he
outside,
comes, actually.
On the outside of turn 12, Alessandrini's going to take the short way around. And DJ's
Borden's still there.
This is going to get spicy as they climb the hill towards turn 13.
Looks like Borden's just narrowly going to peek through for a second, but they're still side by side. I see Jonathan White going to give a shove to Alessandrini on the inside. Here they come, final corner, Borden and White side by side.
Oh, White, you saw the white gloves on Jonathan White's hands. jamming back to the left to counter steer to keep that car straight on the exit of the corner. White flag flies one more time around Road America in round number 8 of the 2019 SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge. Alessandrini trying to hold it off. Paul Darling forced off the racetrack.
Borden tried to throw a block on Darling, but Darling was there, and they're still going to get a run. Where's Darling going to go, though?
He's going to choose that lane that he's in behind. That's DJ. But Borden to the inside. He takes the lead away. Did he just set himself up to get repassed, though?
Oh,
He's wide.
He went wide. He's wide, but he's going to still keep it on. But here comes Alessandrini back on the offense.
Down into turn number 3. Alessandrini on the brakes. Going to take the shortcut there. Here comes Darling looking for second. Going to be a bump draft fest on the back straight.
I don't think there's going to be much bump drafting. It's just going to be going. There you see Borden with the move now. Does Darling dare make it 3 wide? He's got the run.
I think if you have an opportunity, this is it. Darling might have to make it 3 wide to have a shot. Here he comes. Is he going to choose to go with DJ or make it 3 wide?
Oh, gives Alessandrini a bit of a shove into turn 5. Hard on the brakes. White goes very deep.
Oh, he's too deep on the brakes, though. And Darling's going to swing around the outside. DJ's wide as well. Borden still's got the top spot.
2 by 2 down into turn 6. They're still fighting for the lead and for third place in behind. Borden trying to push Alessandrini off the track, but Alessandrini through the grass will retain the lead.
Pass in the grass for DJ Alessandrini. Borden in second place. White in third. Paul Darling in fourth. Half the racetrack remains.
It looks like White's going to win that battle for now for third place.
Oh, so contact!
He's right behind. Oh, contact again! Borden to Alessandrini and then White to Borden.
Pushing, shoving, slipping, and sliding. Alessandrini's got it still. Borden still second. White in third. They're running on a racetrack. 1 mile left.
This is going to be the big one here as they come through the final quarter, heading towards the kink. You're going to want to set it up now.
This is your last opportunity, Canada corner. You might be able to wait till turn 14, but I think you're putting a lot of trust in the driver behind that they're not going to try to make a pass on you. There's going to be 3 corners left. And here comes Borden swinging to the right, back to the left, down into Canada corner.
Oh, Borden try to make a move on Alessandrini. Alessandrini with the block. Here they come late on the brakes. Borden goes wide, White up the inside.
This might be giving it away to Alessandrini if they can't get clear. Borden and White side by side, but it's DJ Alessandrini with the top spot behind him, bumping doors as they come back to the checkered flag. 1 more corner. Borden, DJ Alessandrini lined up no stern, through 1 more corner. Does he have enough of a run?
He's got to set it up here. Alessandrini clipped a little bit of the grass. I think Borden's got to run. Is it enough, though? Up the hill they go.
Coming back to the checkers. It's going to take a block by DJ. Here they come to the line. Checkered flag waves. Could be a drag race. 91-42. Alessandrini, Borden. Who's going to get it?
Across the line. It's
Borden.
Borden by a nose.
He did it. He absolutely did it. Incredible job.
6,000th of a second. Wow.
That was phenomenal. Michael Borden wins the race by 7 thousandths of a second. If that didn't get your blood pressure up, you're not a race fan. Oh, I need to take a deep breath. Let's go back, take a look at it, folks. This is phenomenal stuff. The run that he got, the momentum he carried all the way to the checkered flag by 7 thousandths of a second. And then behind him for third was 15 thousandths of a second. I mean, look at that. That is phenomenal stuff. I mean, that is literally the length of the plastic bumper on an MX-5 at 115 miles an hour. And from third place, Jonathan White, his view as they came to the checkered flag. Well, you talked about the draft being important at Road America. For Michael Borden, it was perfectly set up. Let's just analyze this this final corner here by the 42. I didn't think he was going to be able to make this run, but it just excellently timed.
I didn't either. I was actually amazed that he was. I mean, it was, again, very, very close, but I didn't think he would even get past the halfway point on Alessandrini's door. But he set up the corner so beautifully that, combined with the draft, he was able to just get it. I don't know what it was. I felt like Alessandrini was struggling a bit on straight line speed. I know the draft's definitely an effect, but it just felt like he couldn't really get up on the throttle compared to other guys.
Well, here's the thing. Alessandrini couldn't do anything. You get one defensive move, and you cannot make that move in reaction to the trailing driver. So he got one move, he went to the right, and that's all you get. He could not throw a block, and that's why Borden was able to get to the left-hand side, but there's your margin of victory. Incredible, incredible racing. Borden earned that one, Finney. He had to come from a long ways back, about midway through the race, and he stole a victory away at the end of the race here. So let's jump to break real quick. After I show you your race results, up on the screen. Of course, very close margins here between a couple of the drivers. And a couple of drivers didn't make it to the end. Those drivers were Jesse Stevens, Thomas Bresee, Christian Oates, Robert Hartley, Luke Pfeiffer. I think Jonathan DeCouger was also out, so that only the top 12 were able to finish the race. But again, 7,000. I'm pretty sure that's our closest margin of victory by a pretty significant amount.
I definitely think so. That was a hell of a finish these guys put on.
All right, we're going to jump back to break just for a moment. We'll be right back with your winner. Stay put. Welcome back live to SimTV and Winding Road Magazine. Here now with race winner Michael Borden. Michael, a spectacular race all around. You just absolutely crushed it those final couple corners. Walk us through your thought process, those final 5 laps, and then waiting to the checkers to steal that victory away.
Well, so this is actually my home track in real life, so I have a lot of experience with kind of how Miatas race around this track. And generally up that hill, you do not want to be leading. You barely ever win the race unless you got somebody else, there to help you push you. So I was trying not to lead coming into that last corner, and everybody else behind me was making it hard. And it seemed like DJ tires were falling off or something, but I just held on to that second position and made it happen out of that last corner.
You say it's your home racetrack, and obviously you got to wait to that last corner. But when you got someone behind you like Jonathan White pushing you, how does that adjust your strategy those last couple laps? And how much do you have to fight that driver instead of focusing on the leader?
He was making it hard to keep that second position, especially into turn 1. I don't know how, but I stayed in front of him on the outside of it with a couple laps to go, and then did it again on the inside, I think, the lap after that. So when he was trying to put pressure on me, I was mainly just trying to keep in second place at that point. And if he would have tried to push me around DJ, I would have been happy to do that, but it all ended up working out for me.
How big of a confidence boost is this heading into the final 2 races of the regular season? We've got Sebring and Watkins Glen coming up. How big of a confidence boost is this getting yourself into victory lane late in the season?
It's good. Unfortunately, I had some troubles. I had a Windows update last night, and that messed up all my settings with iRacing, and I was a little flustered going into race 1. I actually didn't set a qualifying time.
And I tried to start from the pits, and then on lap 2 into the Canada corner, my pedals disconnected for some reason, and I had full throttle and no brakes right into the wall. So that race was just kind of done. I was hoping to put together 2 good races and try to move up the points, but I think unfortunately at this point it's a little late. But I'm still going to come out and try to have some fun and see how many points I can come away with this season still.
All right, well, late season charge for the 42 of Borden. The results are improving, and a checkered flag for the 42 this week. Michael, thanks for talking to us, and thanks for chatting, and good luck in the next round.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, and I think we do have the rest of the top 4 in here. Next driver is going to be DJ Alessandrini, who finished second, and it was so painful. 7,000ths of a second, DJ. Just walk us through those final corners and trying to hang on with Michael Borden charging. I know it's hard to do without being able to block, but just walk us through.
Yeah, I took some damage early in both races, one from John Allen and the other one from John. The Johns were out to get me tonight, and the car just didn't turn right very well in race 2, so Borden just kept getting really good runs on me. And I could have been kind of a little kind of not kosher at the end and swerve all over the track, but I mean, Borden deserved that win. He drove the wheels off that car. He caught me and John White trying to work together to break the draft, and then at some point we tried to switch, and that was a mistake. And yeah, we were working together, and Michael still reeled us in, so he deserved that win race 2.
It seemed like race 2 got really, really physical with some pushing and shoving. What was the headspace like coming back to those last couple laps, getting pushed and shoved around? Was there a little bit of blood boiling in some of the drivers' minds, or was it all kosher out there and everybody was okay with it?
There was sorries being thrown out on the mic, so I don't think anybody's heads were boiling. I think the only thing boiling was the front tires by the end of the race, and that's probably like all the margy-bargy you saw was on corner entry, and that's literally just people not able to stop these things. So,
all right, well, DJ Alessandrini will continue to extend his points lead as Hartley had issues in this one. DJ, great job on another great race, another great set of races. We'll see you at Sebring in a couple weeks.
Yeah, real quick, my thoughts and prayers go out to Hartley just because he just keeps getting the short end of the stick, and I hate to see that. Hartley's probably one of the greatest talents in this league, so it sucks to see bad things happening to him. I know he was pretty upset in the YouTube chat. So just Robert, if you're listening, like, just keep your head down, man. Like, you're getting all the bad stuff out of the way. You still got a chance in that finale.
All right, TJ. Well, some kind words to the competitors. Congrats, DJ. We'll see you next round.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yep. Next, we're going to talk to Jonathan White. Won race number 1 and couldn't quite get himself in position to win race number 2, but third place, John, 15,000ths of a second ahead of Paul Darling. Walk us through those final couple corners.
Oh, I was trying to get back in front of Michael Borden. Couldn't really do that, but I'm pretty satisfied with third because I'm pretty sure I won the night in total points. So good night for me.
But, talking about those last couple laps, I talked to Michael Borden about how you run second and try to keep the guy in third behind you. Those last couple laps, did you know you needed to be second to have a shot at the win, or were you hoping you could probably make something happen from third?
I mean, I think with a first place finish in race 1 and any sort of podium finish in race 2 would do it for me. But either way, I was still trying to get back up there. I thought that maybe I could get back up to first if I timed it right, because I noticed that Michael Borden was swinging really wide in the carousel. I'm thinking, if I time it right, maybe I could pass him there. But then we all got like squirrely the corner before that, and I couldn't really do that.
All right, well, great points night for the 22. John, congratulations again on your victory and a podium in race number 2 of the night. We'll see you at Sebring.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. All right, and finally, last but not least, it's going to be the driver, number 55, Paul Darling, who just missed out on a podium by a couple thousandths of a second. Paul, a great race for you tonight, but just not quite enough to get on the podium or for a race victory. Just walk us through your race and battling John White that last lap.
I was waiting for the three of them ahead to get together and give me a run, but I just played it too conservatively, and the collision between them never happened, so just got a little unlucky with my conservation there.
As you look at the season as a whole, obviously you just won the SCCA Spec Racer series that iRacing held a couple weeks back. And this series probably hasn't gone quite as smoothly for you as that one has. But as you look at the last couple races of the season at Sebring and Watkins Glen, do you feel like you can get at least a couple race victories out to make the season successful for you?
I think it's going to take a miracle for a race victory. I'm just targeting top 5s here, but I just don't seem to have the pace for a solid podium every week.
All right, well, Paul Darling, a top 5. Congratulations on that. It was a good race for you regardless, and good luck at Sebring in a couple weeks.
Thank you, guys. See you then.
Absolutely. All right, Finian, that was a wild one. Our closest finish of the season. Borden comes out on top in the 42, and it's been a lot of bad luck and a little bit of good for the 42 this season. So good to see him come out on top, but got Sebring in a couple weeks, and our favorite Watkins Glen a couple weeks after that. So the season coming to a close here shortly, and only one driver will get to win the prizes. So thoughts on tonight and thoughts about Sebring in a couple weeks.
Tonight was a fantastic race. Coming out of last week, the last round was the best round of the season. I think this definitely takes the cake as best round so far in this series. These guys put on a hell of a show in both races tonight. Fantastic to watch. One thing though, a little bit dirty in race number 2, and I don't mean by action on the track. I mean the number of incidents. Guys that'll be expecting a points penalty after this race would a small points penalty of 2 points. Chris Henn, definitely Samuel Scott, who had 24. That's why he was asked for a drive-through, passing 22 incidents. But behind them, Chris Henn, Allison Jerini, Michael Borden, Jack Sanchez, Jonathan White, and Nathan Saxon will be receiving a point penalty for going over 15 incidents.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us tonight for the SPEC MX-5 Sim Racing Challenge from Road America. We want to thank you all for watching. This was a great one. If you didn't watch the entire thing, you just joined us here late, go back and watch it all because it's some good stuff. So we are not done with this season just yet. We have Sebring coming up on the 21st of August, and then Watkins Glen on the 11th of September, and then our season finale at Road Atlanta on October 23rd. That's what's coming up here the next couple weeks. On Sim TV over on our channel tomorrow night, the return of Scar's Ferrari Challenge. That's going to be on 8:15 tomorrow p.m. with the Ferrari GT3 cars at Daytona Road. Thank you again for watching. Thanks to our sponsors, SPEC MX-5, Winding Road Magazine, WeatherTech, as well as LevelUp Racing School and Paradigm Shift for doing everything they do to support this series and provide the race prizes and season end prizes. We'll see you at Sebring on the 21st. Thanks for watching.